Hi, I'm Octavia Brooks, and this is this is my pillar one. This is a free training that I'm offering to help you solve your relationship worries. And I'm really happy to be here sharing this information with you so that you can have a better relationship with your partner and also with your business. So this is part of my 4 pillars that are meant to stop your relationship worries without busting your business dreams. We business owners and entrepreneurs, we're always having this tussle between work and our relationships, and we want to do justice to both of them. So pillar one is about solving your relationship worries. So I'm going to go into a slide deck now and share my screen. And so let me make sure I'm just sharing the one thing. Sorry, I don't want you guys to feel like you've got to look at too many different things here. There we go. Okay. So who this training is for is, if you're a business owner and you're having some kind of stress in your relationship, you're thinking about whether you should be staying or going in your relationship, you're trying to make decisions, you're trying to figure out if this relationship can make you happy, you're trying to figure out how to make your partner happy, you're having a lot of questions about that. And because you're having a lot of questions about that, your mind is distracted from your business and your business is not getting the focus from you that it needs. And so you might be dropping details, might be missing some really important stuff. And also, you may have already tried therapy. Maybe you've done individual therapy, maybe you've done couples therapy. It just doesn't really seem to be getting you very far. It's not really working. You might be working with a business coach, and your business coach is kind of like, yeah, let me know when you've got that personal situation figured out. I also think that you might be a person who's familiar with mindset tactics and realizing that mindset's not working either. And some of this might be bringing your confidence into question. You might be questioning your conduct in this relationship, whether this is a good relationship to you. You're doing a lot of questioning, worrying, and meantime, you're feeling frustrated that you're not achieving your goals and your dreams in your business because you're not all present in your business. So what we're going to be talking about today is you're going to be learning. I'm just going to give an overview of the 4 pillars of working in my system to resolve this situation and get you back into your business better than you were before. We're going to talk about how your business and your relationships interact with each other, who you are with your business and who you are in your relationship, how your relationship is going to either support or hold you back from your business success. And so we're going to go deeply into this solving relationship worries, which has 4 different parts to it: clarity, deciding whether you're in a rocky relationship or a toxic relationship, making decisions about this relationship, and strategy of implementing those decisions. But before I let you go, I really want to make sure that no matter what's going on, if you've got a lot of stress going on in your relationship, I want to make sure that you know how to be productive in your business, because you got to get the bread and butter, you got to keep it coming in, right? So we've got to make sure that you're going to be productive in your business. So I want to give that with you. All right. Well, who the heck am I? I'm Octavia Brooks. I'm an intuitive relationship strategist and success mentor for ambitious entrepreneurs. And I have a really broad toolkit from being on my personal path of spiritual development and personal development for over 30 years. I've been in my fair share of rocky and toxic relationships, learned a whole lot from them, have done a lot of personal work because of those relationships, and understand why I had those relationships, why I had a repeating pattern of those relationships, and how to navigate all the complexity, the emotional complexity there, while also being productive in business. So I have 20 years of business experience and about 10 years as an online business manager. And what I use ancient and modern neuroscience, and now I'm like hedging because I'm checking you out to see if you're going to stick with me as I say modern and ancient neuroscience. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we go. I'll drop it in here and there throughout the presentation. Nothing to be worried about. Ancient neuroscience refers to the indigenous practices that I've learned along the way on my spiritual path. And the modern neuroscience, I received my coaching certification in 2021 for the way the brain works, like what we know about all of the scientific studies that are happening with the brain. We carry it around with us everywhere. The better we can optimize and understand brain differences between men and women, which I'll talk about in a minute, we can really benefit. And so this ancient and modern neuroscience really, really work together as the backdrop of how I help my clients achieve really big results. So let's get right in. All right. So in total, the 4 pillars of my program are solving relationship worries, bringing you into a greater degree of confidence. Now, most entrepreneurs are pretty confident, but this is a huge level up. It's an exponential level of increased confidence that comes from resolving like really old childhood, even issues, traumatic issues inside in your psychology that will create some resistance on your entrepreneurial path. So that's part of the ancient neuroscience, that pillar 2. And then pillar 3, protecting your assets and scaling your business. So when you are deciding not to continue a relationship, some of the worries that a lot of the entrepreneurs that I meet have are, well, I brought my partner into my business. They're now part of my business. How do I protect my assets and make sure that if I do end this relationship, I'm going to be okay? I'm not going to lose a relationship and a business at the same time. In fact, we want you to protect your assets and scale your business from where it is right now. We want you to get back better than you were before this relationship. And then pillar 4 really speaks to a lot of the modern neuroscience, how to achieve peak performance, peak mental performance, and flow states of productivity in your business that save you time throughout the day so that you have time for a wonderful relationship to come home to. So those are the 4 pillars of stopping your relationship worries and getting on with your business dreams. I want to go now into pillar 1, and this is a big philosophy that I have about how relationships impact your business. First of all, I want to give you the goal that you're going towards. That is, when your relationship is really happy and healthy, you are able to achieve more in your business. Why is that? That's because there's some really nice neurotransmitters flowing when you've got that comfort, when you're getting touched, you're having regular connection with your partner. All of that brings in some really healthy, wonderful neurotransmitters. And all of those neurotransmitters make you more productive in your work. It's just easier to attain flow states and get your work done faster. You can access creative problem solving in your brain and innovation, the best of your brain, when you're in a healthy relationship. A rocky relationship is when you're having challenges, that like you're having arguments, you're going through a difficult time, maybe you're doing a temporary separation, maybe you're trying to decide compatibility. We're going to get into it, the definition, a little bit more. But if you have a rocky relationship, you're going to be a little bit distracted at work. If it's rocky, but basically the relationship is just going through a moment, it's not really going to be ending or splashing all over your life with big bad heartbreak. If you feel secure in the relationship, most likely you're going to be able to compartmentalize and not really have a humongous impact on your business success, on your productivity at work. The level of worry is distracting, but it's not wholeheartedly distracting, unless you're losing sleep, and then our brains definitely don't work that great when we're low on sleep. So a toxic in a relationship, and again, I'm going to get into these definitions a little bit later. A toxic relationship is something that is really causing quite a bit of stress, quite a bit of worry, quite a bit of stress. Most people would call it like a drama. You're having a dramatic kind of relationship. So a toxic relationship is going to have a bigger impact on your business. It's going to fall outside of your ability to compartmentalize. You're going to be worrying and thinking, your energy is tied up, your emotions are tied up in the drama of the relationship, and that's preventing you from being 100% present in your business. And that, so when you're trying to scale your business, that's okay if you're like able to just kind of operate, you're floating on your operations, you've got a really good team helping you. Okay, you can kind of skate for a little while, but businesses like our attention and they want strategic attention. They want our full thought power. In particular, when we're negotiating with, contracts with business partners, or we're trying to land a big, important sales deal, we need to pay attention to the important details in these moments. And if you have a toxic relationship and that level of drama going on in your life, is really going to have a big impact on your ability to manage those details, make good decisions, plan out, do strategic planning, all of that stuff that takes, all of your full presence thinking things through. And then I want to bring in another element of relationship here. There's always going to be a relationship between you and your business. A lot of people say we entrepreneurs, we are our business. And I've seen that to be true a lot. If we have internal blocks and obstacles, a lot of times they show up in our business somewhere, resistance, procrastination, that kind of thing. So if you feel that your business is at a plateau, you're not able to get past a certain point, then we may be talking more about your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your business, than we are with a girlfriend and boyfriend in your life. Okay. All right, let's go into pillar 1 now. This is kind of the overview, right? First of all, most of what we're going to be talking about relates to your primary relationship at home, but I don't want to leave out the relationship to your business. What we're going to learn here is whether your relationship is toxic or rocky, getting you clarity in your relationship to figure out like what's really going on right now, and then how to make decisions about it and how to implement what you decide. That's the overview of this pillar 1. So the first thing I do with clients and the first thing I recommend in this training is for you to get some clarity and get a new perspective. Now, a lot of people will go and talk to their friends and family, and that's fine. Just be aware that sometimes your friends and family, they can inform your perspective, but they may not be getting you a really good perspective. I just had a really cool conversation with a person who's been building his financial business. And he's like, I couldn't talk about it with my friends and family anymore. I just had to stop because they were so negative. They didn't understand my entrepreneurial drive. And it wasn't really safe exactly for him to talk to them. He had to go and seek out other new communities. And that's the case with this sensitive moment that your relationship is in, because of the additional dimension that your business has that's part of the equation here. Your relationship being rocky, having an impact on your business, and whether people can understand all of that in totality, it's going to be a pretty unusual skill set. Another entrepreneur who has a relationship, who's more mature in business and their relationship is stable and healthy, yeah, you could get advice from somebody like that. Or an intuitive relationship strategist like myself could potentially give you that kind of feedback as well. All right, so one of the ways I help clients get clarity right away is this idea of energy re-individuation. So this is a concept from ancient neuroscience. I promised to bring it around to you. So here we go. And so ancient neuroscience encompasses energetics and more. Now, I know that sounds a little woo-woo for a lot of people. I just want to share with you that quantum physics is proving that we're basically 98% energy, and the idea that things are actually real and solid, it's really just a matter of our perceptions and the habits of our brain. So we really are mostly energy. Because we're mostly energy, we're interacting energetically with other people all the time, and with collective consciousness, with our society, with our community, our whole family. We're interacting in an energetic manner. Okay, so when you're in a relationship with somebody, you are sharing energy with them. The intimate act of sex brings us together. We're sharing energy in those intimate acts. When we have heated conversations, we're sharing energy. And so one of the first things I do with clients is this idea of energy re-individuation, which means that it doesn't mean that you're breaking up with the person. It just means that you're going to bring your energy into a current present moment. Because when we have other people's energy in our system and they have energy in our system, we're not really as clear in ourselves and our own needs as we need to be to really kind of see the relationship for what it is. And I've done this process with people, and immediately everything, oh, it becomes obvious at that point, because they're not enmeshed, like codependency, that kind of thing. They're not enmeshed with their partner anymore. So this is the idea that you get all of your energy back, and you give all of your partner's energy back to them, and you have one connection. You can have different chakra connections. It makes sense to always have a heart connection, probably the lower chakras, because you might have finances involved, and also your sexuality involved. So you're going to have some of your chakras connected, but they're going to be clean, clear connections, and not this willy-nilly random, combination of energy. That brings you a lot of clarity. And from that place, then I begin to work on confidence with clients and start to really solidify who you are, what kind of needs do you have, what kind of person are you, what's a relationship that's appropriate for the kind of person you are and the needs that you have. And I work a lot with the confidence, and we're going to come back into that topic again in, I think it's pillar 3. So I'll leave that for now, but this is something really important for you to do if you're in a rocky relationship. Just aside from what the relationship is offering you, sit and do some analysis, some self-analysis about, if you could have any relationship in the world, what would it look like? And it might indeed look like your partner, in case, we'll come to that, how to resolve a rocky relationship. So that's going to be really important. Now, this last bullet here is look for repeating patterns. Is this relationship similar to a relationship you've had before? Are there elements that are similar to the way your parents raised you? Are you having recurring arguments in the relationship that don't ever seem to get to be resolved? So those are the things that I think you want to identify if there's any repeating patterns, because those could indicate that there's something on your side of the equation that might need to get resolved. Like, can you get your arms around this pattern, your part of it, change your part of it, and then change the repeating dynamic that keeps happening between the two of you? Or you may identify that is their stuff, and I'm keep tap dancing around their stuff, and that's why we have a recurring pattern here. Okay, so next, we're going to talk about rocky versus toxic relationships. And so what's the whole point of answering this question? Sometimes it's not that easy to tell. Sometimes a rocky relationship has become toxic, or sometimes you're in partnership with somebody that has a personality disorder, and they really are not wired like normal people. They are wired to be unpredictable. They are wired to be hard to please. So it's important to answer this question to find out, well, okay, so I'm just going to be frank. If you figure out that you're in a toxic relationship, why would you stay in that? Why would you stay in that? You need to figure out, like, how to extricate yourself from that. If it's just a rocky relationship with a normal person, a person that's wired emotionally and mentally like most of society, then you'll get into well, the next slide. We'll talk about decision making in that case. So if here's some signs that your relationship is toxic, and I kind of alluded to this already. One of my clients was with somebody for a couple years after his marriage, and his marriage was pretty toxic too. His marriage, she always shut him down anytime he was trying to express himself or describe, I'm having some feelings here. Men are really tender about their feelings, and for a man to even want to talk about his feelings, a lot of women would give their left thumb for that. But in this case, his wife just shut all of that down. So there was an element of toxicity in that marriage. I don't think she had a personality disorder, but not allowing your partner to express themselves means there's not a relationship happening. I'm in control of the relationship and you don't get to have a say. That's toxic. That's definitely toxicity. And so this next relationship that he got into also had toxic elements where they'd get into conversations and it seemed like she was kind of picking a fight with him. And he's like, how am I arguing right now? I was just talking about something and I didn't mean for it to get into an argument. And now suddenly I am somebody I don't even want to be. I'm yelling. I'm not myself. I am a mellow, I'm a mellow person. This is not, so one of the signs of a toxic relationship is you don't get to be yourself anymore. You've lost sight of who you are and you're not showing up how you want to be. So a couple other things, like I mentioned, the drama might be happening, unpredictability. They tell you one thing, they make a promise, they don't keep it. They say one thing and mean something different by it. Oh, this will make you laugh. I had a relationship where he insisted he was monogamous, but he wanted to see other women. And I'm like, what on earth he had made up his own definition of monogamous, which in polyamory terms means you have a primary partner who is like your love of your life that you're really, really, set with, and then also have other relationships on the side. That is not monogamy. He made up his own definition for monogamy. So those are the, crazy making things. Those are some signs of toxicity. And I would say toxic men show up a little bit differently. They tend to be a lot more controlling, maybe manipulative, maybe high controlling finances is what I see a lot with men that have personality disorders. Women that have personality disorders are very manipulative. They try to get you emotionally wrapped around their pinky. There's a lot of control dynamics in toxic relationships. So those are some signs. Now, hopefully you're not in one of those. I really hope not. Okay, so is your relationship with your business rocky or toxic? That's a good question, right? Like, do you love your business? Do you have a good relationship with it? Do you feel like it's bleeding you dry and not leaving you with any time, energy, money left over for anything else in your life? Do you have good boundaries? Do you have a structured work day? Do you get to take time off? How is your relationship with your business? I just mentioned earlier that we are our business. So I will share a brief story. I have, in times past, not so much recently, but in times past, I found myself being work addicted to my business. And especially when we're starting a business, oh my gosh, like it's just very, very easy to just give everything until we have nothing left to start this business. And we have these internal drives and internal goals. We really want to achieve things. And so that would be a toxic flavor of relationship with my business when I was redlining and burning myself out really bad just to get the day-to-day done. So things to consider. Now you've figured out what kind of relationship you have. Let's just say you're in a rocky relationship, but it's with somebody who's, mentally healthy. And will you be able to fix that relationship? So some of this I alluded to a little bit. are both people willing to do what it takes? I remember I was at a wedding one time and I thought the parents of the bride gave the best advice. And it was not relationships are 50-50. That was not the advice. 50% your effort, 50% your effort. No, both people need to be willing to give 110% to make it happen, because all relationships have their ebbs and flows and have their waves and have change happening and impacts. And, if we're going to make a really good relationship, it's going to take some effort. So are each of you at a point where you're both like really committed to making it work? That's really important. If one person's got one foot out the door already, that doesn't bode well. Now, another thing is how long the problems have lasted. If the problems have been going on for a really long time, then you may be looking at a type of a codependent situation where the relationship is toxic. It's not really good for either one of you, but you're sort of locked into it. And this happens sometimes with longer term relationships where people, maybe they got together really young, maybe they're not really into that much personal development. And so they're not really growing and evolving. They've just kind of stalled out in the relationship. And so you just find yourself having the same arguments over and over again. Nothing ever really gets resolved. And then a couple of days later, it just happens again. And it's just become the routine of the relationship. I just wrote a post about routines in a relationship and how routines themselves can become toxic themselves, because if we get bored, it's really not healthy for us to be bored. So things to consider there. Now, let's say you have willingness. Let's say that even if the problems have lasted a long time, willingness will go a long way. But you might have skill sets and compatibility issues. So you might need to have some more skill sets. You might need to have better communication skill sets. Like, instead of dropping into the same old stupid argument the same exact way every single time, let's change that. Let's change that argument. Let's get to a deeper level of conversation that's more meaningful. And so that's a skill set. Now, compatibility, I've seen some couples really successful that are wildly different people, and they vibe on it. They vibe on it. I would say that if you have principles and values in common, that you're probably going to be okay, even if you're really, really different people. But there's other kinds of compatibility. You can think of it on the emotional level, mental, physical, spiritual levels, or those are some dimensions to think about with compatibility. A big thing is, do you have compatible future dreams and goals? So if your partner wants to travel the world and photograph life and is actively saving up, $500,000 to travel the way they want to, but you're a homebody and or you've got elderly parents to take care of, or you're not interested in that kind of trip, well, they're going to be gone for 6 months to a year. Is that a compatibility? Are you guys compatible in your future goals and dreams? So those are some of the, is the relationship fixable or not? And I've got this other question here. Are you overstaying in a bad relationship? And that kind of peaks to like the second bullet point there. How long have your problems lasted? Are you overstaying in a bad relationship? It's just a good question to ask, because we get comfortable and familiar. The neuroscience says that our brains just really appreciate familiarity. And sometimes we just stay because it's comfortable and comfy and familiar. But it is toxic if you are not being stimulated to grow. There's a lot of leadership training out there that says if you're not growing, you're dying. There's no in between growing and dying. There's no plateau unless you're like learning how to integrate what you're just spent some time growing about. So this is a good question. Are you ever staying in a relationship? Do you need to resuscitate, get some fresh interests, rejuvenate that relationship? Okay, so ultimately here we're making decisions. We're going to decide whether we're going to keep this relationship or not. And these would be some of the criteria that you would use to decide whether you're going to get that 110% in there and make this thing work, or whether you're going to start gradually moving out. And that's where we talk about the strategy. So, strategy, and if you are fixing a rocky relationship, then you would look for ways to rejuvenate and rekindle emotional and physical intimacy by using maybe just a sweet kiss in the morning and kiss in the evening actually generates neurochemicals that will bring you back together. Another really good way of doing it is to go and revisit some of the places that you have these nice romantic memories, develop some skills for communication, get out and like recognize, we're going down the same old, habit of our same old argument. Let's do it a different way this time. So these are some of the ways that you can fix a rocky relationship and achieve. Remember at the beginning, I said you can change a rocky relationship to a happy relationship. Then you're going to have more business success because those wonderful neurochemicals are happening for you that enhance your productivity at work and save time in your day. Okay, so if you are in a relationship with somebody that's mentally healthy and it's just not working out, compassion, right? Your partner might not be going through a thought process like this. They might get completely blindsided if you decide to break up with them. And so have compassion for that. Have compassion. And it doesn't mean that you need to worry like there's going to be fallout. You know what? It doesn't even matter who breaks up the relationship. Both of you are going to have heartbreak. And, there's a lot of blame on the person that initiates a breakup. But I tell you what, man, having been through some tough breakups, it's as hard on both sides. Really, it's just a different kind of process. So have compassion for them while you continue to move on. And pillar 4, I'm going to talk about protecting I think pillar 3, I'm going to talk about protecting your assets. And so that's part of the strategy here is how do you structure your departure so that you can divide assets in a fair and equitable manner that's negotiated with an amiable way of talking with somebody, that you're not going to get into arguments and accusations while you're at the negotiating table of breaking up the assets. So I want you to find a harmonious way to slide gracefully out of that relationship and keep it on as good friendly terms as possible, because that's really to your benefit. To the benefit of your own personal bottom line and to the benefit of your business, because the less drama, the more productivity. So then I put down here escaping a toxic relationship. I put it that way for a reason, because most of the time when we're in a toxic relationship, there's so many control dynamics and dramas going on. Oh my God, I've heard nightmares of the girlfriend saying, I'm going to commit suicide if you leave me. But they're really mentally unhealthy. So, I think it's fair to make sure that they're connected with some resources, that they have family, they have friends, they know how to plug into a network of support. But beyond that, you probably paid your dues in that relationship. You probably did what you could to educate, heal, help, nurture that person in their path and get them to see what they were doing was toxic. You probably did all of that already. And chances are you're kind of burned out right now. And so what you need to do is plan carefully how you're going to leave, so that they don't really get wind of it very much until your assets are protected. And then wrap up contracts, whatever you need to do to get your side secure and protected. And then you can bring the news out to them and let them know that things are going to be moving on. And then you need to be prepared that there's going to be some fallout. There will be drama. You thought there was drama during the relationship. There's a lot of drama happening that can happen after the relationship ends. And you need to be prepared for the unpredictability, prepared for them to try to be vindictive. So this is all the preparation you need to do beforehand. Be mentally prepared that they will try to exert control. They will try to hurt you afterwards a lot of times. And so anything you can do to, and I know it's probably really hard to believe and imagine that somebody would actually do that. Yeah, they do. So prepare for it. And that's because they're not wired like other people. They might not even have the part of their brain that brings them compassion, for example. Okay, so this part of strategy is deciding what changes you need to make between you and your business. And this is why this is a holistic, the 4 pillars is a holistic approach, because here in this area, you may need to make decisions about how you're interacting with your business that are putting boundaries in place and addressing maybe the work addiction that I mentioned before, addressing cutting things off, projects off that are not coming to fruition fast enough, deciding how long you're going to be doing endeavors for before you decide to cut it off, doing proper testing. So it's saving yourself time later, not getting, watching a new business partnership, that everything is flowing smoothly right from the beginning, not staying too long in a business partnership. So these are some of the things you need to consider when you're making changes between yourself and your business. Okay, and so the intuitive relationship strategist, got to make a little plug here. How does this work in all of this? When I start with my clients, they can't see their relationship clearly at all. So after this training, after this presentation, you're going to be able to see your relationship a lot more clearly. And also, you may still have a lot of questions. Is this something I need to work on, something they need to work on? What are the right strategies? What's happening in our communications? And this is where I can use my intuitive skills to give you really good guidance. So I literally am able to read the energy of your relationship and see where the energy is dropping out, where it's being uplifted. I can tell immediately if the relationship is toxic or not. Usually only hearing a couple things about your partner, I'll know whether this is a workable relationship or not, or whether you need to take self-protection strategies. So I design a strategy, getting the lay of the land of the whole relationship, and with your best interests in mind, of course. If you're my client, with your best interests in mind, with your future, including your business wholly intact, your assets intact, so that you have a livelihood if this relationship should end. So all of those are intuitive. And then I also offer a tremendous amount of support. Sometimes it's just like, I have no idea how to have that conversation. So I'll give you like, here's some words to use. Try these words. Here's an approach. Here's how I want you to carry yourself. Here's how I want you to express your needs and your boundaries. So I help my clients with all of that kind of thing to help their relationships be more successful. We all deserve happy, wonderful relationships, right? Okay, so if you have any questions about this, just send me a direct message. I'm going to go on to the next slide. Still want you to be productive while you're at work. Okay. So you're watching this because you've got some relationship challenges going on that are distracting you from your work. And how do you encapsulate those in such a way that you can be as present with your business as possible, that you can get back your focus? So this is a little bit of neuroscience, and this is a preview of pillar 4, where I really go into peak mental performance and flow states. But I'm going to tell you something really, really important here. You need to be able to manage your emotions, because your emotions are part of what a lot of our emotions are ricocheting between the amygdala, the lower brain, and the emotional center in the middle of the brain. But that cycle there in the lower brain and the middle brain are really outside of your productive prefrontal cortex. So one of the first things you can do to calm down your emotions is to name them. When you name your emotions, first of all, they're not so overwhelming anymore. You've got some emotions going on. Oh my God. Okay. Well, I feel threatened. I feel frustrated. I feel anxious. So if you start naming the emotions you have, it automatically switches you to the free prefrontal cortex, because that process of naming is part of your higher brain. You want to be focused and productive in your business, you want to be staying here in your prefrontal cortex as much as you possibly can. I have like a lot of strategies for that. So the neuroscience of productivity is a delicious, juicy topic that I'm going to go into a lot of detail in Pillar 4 training. So I think that this will help you switch into greater productivity in addition to any ability you have to compartmentalize. Okay. So let's summarize what we covered today and begin to bring this into a close. So I covered the 4 pillars. Let's see if I've got them memorized. Solving your relationship worries, bringing your confidence online better than before, protecting your assets and scaling your business, and achieving peak mental performance and flow states on demand. And all of this will allow your relationship and your business to be in greater harmony. And we also talked about how your relationship impacts your business and how they interplay with each other. If you have a really healthy relationship, it's going to be easier for you to have business success. It just is. The neurochemistry proves it. And we also talked a lot about, in Pillar 1, we talked about how to start with clarity in your relationship. What's the lay of the land? What are the chances this relationship can make it? Do we have the willingness? Do we have the compatibility? Do we need some extra skills? So you can decide whether you're going to stay or go. Because being in that middle ground of like boredom or drama or staying or going in that decision, the brain hates that. That in and of itself will take you out of your prefrontal cortex and put you back here. It's just stressful on the brain. It's going to keep you out of productivity and diminish your performance in your business. So we also looked at how you relate to your business and whether you are in a good relationship. You feel good, happy to work in your business every day, or is it like stressful? You're just overwhelmed. It's too much. And what do you need to do to have a good, healthy relationship with your business where your pathways are open to your greater success? There might be stuff you need to resolve inside yourself for your business to flourish more, or there might be things your business needs to accomplish in order for you to flourish more. But that interplay between you and your business is also really, really important for you to take a look at. And lastly, we talked about how to be productive even under relationship stress, naming your emotions, not letting your emotions keep you in that swirl, but getting them settled down by naming them. If you need to do a little bit of brainstorming, like writing out, I'm anxious because of all these things, trap all of that on a page. It gives your brain a sense of safety and security that it can turn its attention to other things. Especially when you get it all on a page somewhere, your brain feels really safe about that. So that will help you to be more productive in your business. So this has been the presentation of Pillar 1. And the next steps that I would like to ask for you to do are, please leave a comment in the bottom of this video and let me know what you found valuable about this. So I would appreciate that. And if you have further questions, if you have ongoing questions, please send me a message through the system, leave a comment, or send me a direct message. And I love to share what I know. I'm really rooting for you to have that awesome relationship. And so I just want to say goodbye personally, stop the share. I'm Octavia Brooks, intuitive relationship strategist, and this has been my pleasure and privilege to share this information with you today. And I'll see you again soon for Pillar 2, being more confident than you've ever been before. All right. Well, you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks a lot for watching.